To say that gangs weren't taking over the buildings is ridiculous. They took them over.
Your videos went viral several months back that showed this transnational criminal organization working within your apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, that showed these gang members, TDA gang members, coming up and down the stairwells there with AR-15s and basically knocking on people's doors, perhaps intimidating some of the residents that were living within this apartment complex. And you caught it all on video. Describe, what was that like when you called for help and you put that video out to the public?
I've been recording these people for like a year, and I've been submitting videos to Aurora Police Department for about the last 8 months or so. I know that they were compiling evidence. I was already on alert because we had seen the guns being moved at 7 o'clock that morning, and the police had called me back and said they weren't going to come because there was an ongoing investigation they didn't want to interfere with. We were waiting all day for something to happen. We knew something was going to happen. So I was sitting 4 feet inside that door when the people came up the stairs. I got the motion detector alert on my phone. I opened up the video and I was watching it live as it was happening. So I had the ability to screen capture live video while I was watching. Not only was I able to catch that famous video, the one that went viral, but I was also able to catch screen captures of those same people holding my neighbors at gunpoint. And it was terrifying. I stopped taking screen captures after I see them holding my neighbors at gunpoint, and I start calling the police. I'm still on hold with the police when gunfire breaks out. There's between 20 and 35 shots. We heard a bunch of yelling outside. Someone say, "Shut your mouth," in Spanish, and then all kinds of different calibers of guns started going off. When we came out the next morning, the police had the whole block blocked off, and they were still doing crime scene investigations. So they were collecting all the shell casings, and we found out that my car had a hole through it and my husband's car has a hole in it. After they collected all the gun shells and they followed where they went, the police were able to discover a trail of blood. And it turns out the victim had transported to the hospital, and they ended up dying a week later. The police then used more of my video to help identify him, because like I said, I had a year's worth of video of this property. And so I had videos of these people walking around the property without masks. Their faces were covered in the famous video, but I had months worth of video of them walking around normal. This shouldn't happen to anybody. And they were intimidating people out of their property like it was the most normal thing. And we watched them go door to door in our building until we were the last leaseholders in the building. So to say that gangs weren't taking over the buildings is ridiculous. They took them over. They took the apartment buildings over. They changed the locks on the outsides of the buildings so they weren't accessible by the owners or emergency personnel. You would have to knock on a window to get into the building, especially the building where they kept the guns. And all this was reported to the police, and then we find out that the police have known about this problem for nearly a year. I can't prove that they were directed to stand down, but I feel like their hands were tied. I received several different responses from the police over the course of this year. I have over 100 calls to 911. Witnesses to all these different crimes over the last year, and then that's not counting all the noise disturbances and the destruction of property. And I was standing in my neighbor's apartment when someone walked in and stole her air conditioner and walked out with it. 2 other guys walked in and stole her couch. There's just nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it. The police can't be there every second. And even if they were, they would be overwhelmed. They were directed to only report if they had 3 to 4 officers in an armed car. The people over there were vicious They would sit in the stairwell with their guns, and you would have to wait for them to move their guns and get out of your way before you could walk up the stairs with your groceries. There was a lot of intimidation and asking, are you going to move? If you do move, can I get your keys? So they wouldn't have to bother kicking in the door. I have so many videos of them kicking in doors and then showing the apartments like they're real estate agents.
Unreal. So they were basically releasing out these apartment complexes to other folks that were coming in because they had basically taken them completely over. The apartment complex was under siege, if you will.
Yes. I was standing outside waiting to speak to the police the morning after my friend was murdered. And I was waiting for the police to get up to me so they could, see my husband's car with the bullet holes. And
Whoa. That was your friend?
He was one of the only ones that we spoke to because he knew a little bit of English. And whenever he would see me, he would raise his hands and say, hey, my friend. And I would say, hey, my friend. And he would grab my groceries. He would take my trash off for me, stuff like that. So he was the one that was in that group of young men that were telling me and my husband that the guns were there to protect us, that we were all family there, and the guns were there to protect us. He was the one that they murdered.